Hello and welcome to Bern in Switzerland for the 2023 IFSC World Championships. And it is time for our first final of the event. My name is Matt Groom and I'm joined in the commentary box and will be for the entire thing by Shauna Coxey. Shauna, what a semi-final earlier on today, an exciting final ahead of us.
Thanks, Matt. I'm really happy to be here. And yeah, the semi-finals was pretty intense, and I think we're going to see even more intensity in this final. The boulders look amazing. Semi-finals were absolutely incredible. So yeah, excited to see what the route setters have in store for us.
Absolutely, and you can see in the centre of your screen a special route that we'll talk about in the middle in a minute. But 6 athletes have made it this far, and of course at the end of this competition there is the Boulder and lead comp, and that is where our Olympic places will be given away. But first of all, the athletes have to qualify, and this is part of the process. Now, Shauna, we had a look at the boulders, and we're going to have a look at the angles now. Really overhanging section, 65 degrees down at the end there, and then slabs on the left.
It's great to see a wall with so much variety. I actually really like this wall. I like the angles, I like how crisp it is, and the fact that it's really easy to see what's going on. So good to have these angles here so everyone can get a sense of kind of what the movements would feel like. The slab, I actually was so convinced it was a slab, not a vert wall. So yeah, it's cool to see.
It is indeed. Well, let's have a little look at the semi-finals that took place earlier on this morning. And as you can see, Nikolai Uznik qualifying in last position. A bit of a surprise, although he won in the European Championships in Munich. He's had an up and down season, so it's good to have him back here.
He has, yeah. He's been in finals this year, but we've seen a mixed result. He just seemed to be really feisty in the round, you know, climbing really confidently as we see here. No hesitation on that move, really hitting the holes super accurately, and you can see what it means to him.
It's massive, isn't it? And Do-Hyun Lee, well, he's got a gold this year already, using the no-tex hold there in the middle, which you'll see more of later. And it's good to have a Korean athlete in the final as well. And if he wins this final, he will be the first Korean to win a Boulder Gold at a World Champs in either gender. So exciting records ahead. And then Mejdi,
really
you described him as bouncy.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. He's got such a fun style to watch. He's really aware of his body and how, like what he's capable of. He's really confident in his movements. And yeah, I think he's got a really fun style.
Absolutely, and he has a chance to get those Olympic tickets as well. One of the favourites for sure.
And one athlete who's been really decisive in which competitions he does this year, focusing on this event specifically, knowing those Olympic tickets are being awarded. I think it's been interesting to see who turns up to which competitions this year and what kind of their focus is.
Absolutely, and this is the past Boulder champion. He's got a chance to get that title back again. Can Kokoro Fuji win gold? I mean, look, he's got the ability and he's looking strong at the moment.
He is looking strong, and as far as I'm aware, he's one strongest dad of the comp. He's the only dad in finals, I'm going to point that out. But yeah, really, really cool to see him back in finals.
And then this man here, maybe a bit of a surprise to see him do so well in the semi-finals, qualifying in first position. And you were saying the oldest athlete here?
Yeah, 33, the oldest athlete here. He's qualified in second, actually. We've got one more to come out.
Of course.
Yeah, but,
I forgot about a certain Serato.
But yeah, he really turns it up at the big events, and you know, we've seen that here. So I can't wait to watch everyone climb. But yeah, not to forget Serato.
Yeah, well, 16 from the oldest to the youngest competitor, looking so composed out there on the wall, always calm. And 4 tops, including this one, that no other athlete managed to do these moves.
The only athlete to top 5 boulders in qualifiers, the only athlete to top 4 boulders in semi-finals. Let's see what he can do in the final.
All right, so those are the athletes who will play for podium places in a couple of minutes. They observed the routes earlier on, and we'll check that out later. But right now, the scene is set. You can see the lead wall on the right, the speed wall is on the left of our boulder wall, and then right in the middle is tonight's focus, and that is backstage. I went back there to warn them, by the way, the staff, that we can see back into the arena. I told them not to pick their nose.
Definitely worth a warning.
I think so, yeah. All right, well, the athletes are about to be introduced to the stage.
It's funny because I remember when they would put cameras in ISO, and I was so against it as an athlete, but I absolutely love it as a spectator, being able to see into that kind of really private space where they're going through all the range of emotions, preparing, getting themselves ready. And yeah, the feeling that they have walking out on that stage, you can see the pride, you can see the confidence, you can see the excitement and anticipation building in them, and Yeah, I love this moment. The presentation, I think, is really, really fun to see.
Well, I mean, you've done enough presentations in your time. What were you doing during this moment? Did you take it all in, or are you trying to stay focused in your own head?
I think the overwhelming sensation I had during presentation was pride to be there in both my performance, in representing my country, and you're just kind of almost surprised, I think, every time. Especially with the way the seasons has been this year, we've seen very little consistency in finals, so I think every athlete will be so happy just to be there. But there'll be that buzz, that tingling going in their tummies, the nerves, like everything getting them ready for the best performance that they can give. And the temptation just to turn around and have another steep meek is overwhelming.
I can imagine, it's right behind you. And interesting you talk about nerves, because I talked to Kokoro and he was saying he was nervous for this competition. He had a nasty injury in Korea with his elbow.
Yeah.
So it's good to see him back on this stage.
It really is, yeah, and he's mentioned on social media as well that he's been quite nervous. He felt quite nervous in qualifiers, but was really satisfied with his performance. And lots of the athletes saying on their social channels that they just want to go out here and have fun. And I hope we see that in their climbing. I hope they're able to show their best, but enjoy it as well. And it feels like semi-finals is such a hard round. It's so intense. There's so much going on. And then in finals, you get your own space on the wall. Everyone's looking at you, and you just get to go and have a good time. Obviously, be trying very hard too.
Yeah, it must be that feeling the work has sort of paid off, and now it's time to have a good...
It's the showtime,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's time to perform.
For
have
us
fun.
and for them.
Well, Serato at the end, he will climb last as he qualified first. Nikolai will climb first as he qualified last. And the athletes climb one at a time. And you can see they're sneaking a little look as they walk off stage, which is fair enough.
It's impossible not to, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You see their eyes darting around, trying really hard not to.
Well, there are some exciting boulders coming up and a range of styles here, from powerful to more slabby stuff. And this was earlier on where the athletes were checking out the boulders. Now, M2, those giant balls are dual techs.
Yes, so I really like these holds. I think they look incredibly cool, but it is hard to see what's going on with them because you've got the dual texture. So the shiny bit you can see where Mejdi's holding right now, it's so slippery. It's unbelievably slippery. And then there are parts of the hold that are very grippy and a couple of bits that are less grippy.
Yeah, and you can sometimes catch it shining in the light a little bit, and it does give it away sometimes. But yeah, tricky, and especially the press boulder at the beginning. When you stand up into the boulder, it's hard to see where the friction part is.
Even when we were right up at the wall, like stood underneath the hold, it was hard to see where it is. So I hope the climbers are able to find that.
Well, talking about friction, those clear holds have zero friction, nothing on them at all.
Zero, no texture, no text. If we're saying no text, that means no texture whatsoever.
So that is coming up for the athletes. They checked it out earlier on, about almost an hour ago now. And those are our top six. So Nikolai Uznik, Do-hyun Lee, Mejdi Shout, Kokoro Fuji, Mikkel Mawam, and Serato and Raku make up our men's boulder final. And it is going to be an exciting one. I can't really predict a winner out of this because we've got someone like Serato who's done well all season.
I mean, come on, he's on fire.
You reckon he's the favourite?
It's hard to not say he's the favourite after the 2 rounds he's had, the qualification and the semi-final, being the only one to top all the boulders in both rounds. Of course, anything can happen. Finals just feel like it resets the slate. But yeah, his performance in semi-finals, he looked on a different level, and the results suggest that too. But for the rest of the podium, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's all up in the air. And of course, I feel weird about talking about pressure with Serato because he doesn't seem to experience pressure. He's always so calm, but it must affect him somehow.
For sure, yeah, and I think there'll be so much going on. He seems to be incredibly composed. He's very strong in being aware of what he's capable of. He learns really, really quickly. We saw on the final boulder in semi-finals that he was able to adjust and really make major changes to his movement in each and every attempt. He got further and further and further. Like, he shows such maturity in his climbing already at only 16 years old. Coming from Japan, though, he's coming from like one of the top climbing nations, the top climbing nation on the numbers. So
he's got pedigree behind him. All right, so Shorta, talk us through this boulder. Perhaps one of the easier ones out there, but still a challenge.
From speaking to the setters, it seems like we're expecting the most hops on this boulder. Powerful, really strong movements, requiring some tension along the way with a very tricky last move. So you see the top hold there, it's a really good hold, but it's going to be quite a powerful, explosive movement to get to that. So we think we might see some people drop the last move. And then there's some tricky sections where there might be a few different beta options in the midsection. Feels like it's good. It's relatively good holds, big moves, but hard moves.
Well, we're about to find out how hard it really is. Nikolai Uznik will be the first athlete out. He's got 4 minutes to send this boulder, and his World Championships is underway with a big move out. Coming up underneath and matching the sloper, and again a big shouldery camper-style move to the right. Gets the left foot up, left hand to the zone hold. Check out the score down on the bottom left. That box will fill up halfway for a zone and full way for a top.
So he really needs to get in and start mantling, pressing onto that right arm. Strong work here.
Yeah, thumbs in action. And now needs to push out to the left, grabs the jug, but comes spinning off. And you said it, we were expecting some falls up there. And Nikolai, frustration there.
Yeah, to be that close, but he's only had a minute of his time gone. You know, he's got time to reset, he's got time to rest, kind of recover, think about what it was that stopped him from sticking that and make those adjustments. That time on the mat, I think it really kind of separates the pack in how they use their time on the mat, whether they are able to know what it was that stopped them from completing the climb, make those adjustments, and then execute.
So there you are, Nikolai takes his moment to rest. Of course, almost this time last year, he won the boulder and lead in Munich, and it was a massive moment for him. I've never seen a man more pumped win a competition in my life. He was getting massages on stage to try to get his elbows in working order, but it was a wonderful moment. So let's see this again.
It's great to see the wide shot there. You can see he tried to hit the hold and then run his feet through, but his body was so far around at that point, it was so away from the wall that he wasn't able to get the pressure through the feet. So this time I expect he'll try to go fast with the hands, keeping the body to the right, so he's able to get the weight through the feet. The last hold is, so the position that they put it in, vertical, it means that you want to have your body on the right hand side of it to be able to get the weight through the good part of the hold. As soon as your body starts to come around in front of it or to the left, there's no way you're holding on.
All right, so that's what he's got ahead of him. First of all, there's his mantle up to that tiny hole for the thumbs.
So quick through that section.
Yeah, he's making it look deceptively easy, but it is powerful moves. Oh, huge drop knee in. Oh, I mean, what even is that? Is that drop knee?
Drop knee, toe hook Egyptian?
That sounds good to me. That's what he attempted anyway, and look at the fingers on the jib. So he's trying something different. He maybe perhaps wanted to be more static.
Interestingly, I did wonder if this would work. If you can stay really far right, make the most out of that tiny little jib, get a lot of weight through it. When we were watching the semi-finals, we saw Serato do a very similar movement. You know, he kind of bunched into a really small space, made the most out of some really bad feet, but was able to put tension through the footholds and then go slowly to the last hold. I wonder if we'll see the same on this climb with some of the athletes here. I don't think it's going to work for Nikolai. I think he was so close in the first method that we'll see him try that again, unless he thinks he's figured something else out here. But it's a small box to fit into.
Yeah, you could see him trying to stand up. I mean, you get the thinking of it. It just didn't work for him. And a big 360 dismount to come back down to the ground. So he's got 28 seconds. Going to have to pick one of the two options here.
He's so fast through this start.
Yeah, very shouldery on those slopers. Look at that pinch strength as he matches the sloper. Bumps out to the right again, left hand up, and then he'll start to press and full body working here. Makes the match again. 3 seconds though. Where did the time go? It was gone in a heartbeat.
Yeah, unfortunately, definitely having to rush at the end there, and you saw his hand was quite low on that last hold. The good bit of the hold is in the middle, so you needed to hit that higher up.
So Nikolai will exit the stage the other way.
And this is comp climbing, you know, he's very capable of doing that boulder. You could see it was so close for him, but the time wasn't there.
Yeah, that was his last attempt. 2 fingers on when he was trying that stand-up style. And then final go at it, running out of time. You could see him rushing, didn't have time to make the match. All right, Do-Hyun Lee is on. And good starting holds here. They're pretty positive, in cut. There's a big jump on that. I think it was 60, 65 degrees in that middle section he's on. Makes the match, adjusts his hands across.
Opting for a heel instead of a campus. I wondered whether he might find this move quite wide. Nikolai is super powerful and I think a little taller, so he just kind of cruised through that campus. I think we often see Do-hyun doing a more static beta, trying to use his feet. He's a really technical climber. He likes to figure out really nuanced beta, and you could see that there with his heel and a bit of compression with the lower leg. I do think that will work for him, although he might try the campus, but he does tend to opt for kind of using heels and trickery to move around those super powerful moves, but it tends to work for him. And I think if we can see him get to the top last move, he'll be able to figure out a way.
That's what he's got ahead of him. 2 minutes 51 on the clock. And there's two scoring opportunities in a boulder competition. One is the zone, which is marked by that pink line with the zone written in a circle. And the next one is the top, which is at the top of the wall, which you have to match and control it. You can't just snatch for it. And he's trying the campus this time and makes it work.
Who needs feet?
Who needs feet, exactly. If in doubt, campus it out. Right, so Do-hyun is pressing up now, mantling through this section.
Little adjustment for the right hand there to make sure he got the height to get to that small hold. And then we were told the small hold is there just to help you edge up a bit higher, get up into that mantle position.
Oh, so close.
We saw fast feet there, but maybe a little bit too low with the body, so his weight was really extended on his arm there.
You can see the palm print left, I think, by Nikolai the time before. I'm just hinting at what Do-hyun might have to do, but he'll sit down and rest. 1 minute 50 on the clock. He's got the zone. Looking for a top and sitting in second place because it took him 2 attempts to get to the zone compared to Nikolai's first attempt.
You can see him here shaking out and then prepping his liquid chalk for his next go.
He has such a routine. And actually, while we were in Korea, I was watching Jongwon teach him a whole skin routine about how to do this. It was fascinating.
All about the tactics.
All about the tactics. Right, let's see it again. Bump left, almost stuck it. Feet sliding around there.
Feet sliding, his body was quite low, which meant he swung to the left, making that hold not very good anymore. So if he can get potentially a bit of bend in his arm or get quite a bit higher with his feet, so then you get the pressure through the feet. Of course, we want to be really pushing through the feet on those really bad holds. Not kind of slipping around, but much easier said than done.
Yes, well, that's the joy of our job. I mean, you competed on this stage. I just get to talk about it, so you've experienced it. Do-hyun is matching again. I think he's going to go straight for the campus once more.
I expect so.
Makes it with ease, and now he starts this press upwards.
Clock's ticking down, but he should easily have enough time.
Yeah, I think Nikolai rested slightly too long here. Really had to rush through it. Do-hyun's got at least 23 seconds to make this count. Likely to be the last time, though.
Just using that little tiny jib to get a bit higher.
Top for Do-hyun Lee. It was all about that left foot kicking into the wall to stop the swing.
Really solid foot placement, a bit higher with the body.
Well, our first top of the evening, and we were expecting a few tops on boulder number 1. Do-hyun Lee gets it done and leaves with a little smile on his face back to the isolation.
The route setter actually said we expect maybe one person might not do this climb, so we'll see if they're right.
So, I mean, yeah, if a route setter's predictions come true, I will be amazed. Whenever a setter tells me anything, I take it with a slight pinch of salt, you know. So that was the move, the big left kick, and the right foot down low.
Yeah, I didn't spot that. So seeing that from a wider angle, he had his right foot on the blue there.
That might have made all the difference. It seemed to help the swing, certainly, not as wild as the time before.
Didn't cross the foot through.
Mejdi is out.
I was curious as to whether that foot would work. I thought people would try the left foot there, but then I figured maybe you couldn't get your foot through because of the way the volume is, and I wasn't sure whether people would have enough height there, but Do-hyun made it work.
Did indeed, and he moves to the top of the leaderboard because of that. Mejdi will try to do something about that, though, straight out to the sloper, and I would imagine he's going to go for the campus here. It's his kind of a move. Eyes it up, slaps out, just 3 fingers on the hold.
And you can really see how far that is, how wide that move is.
Yeah, bigger than it looks on TV as well.
Working his feet up there, straight onto that little jib. Turning the hand for the mantle.
Oh, ignores the left.
Wow.
Skips the jib entirely and makes the match.
So what happened here is he got into that mantle, he opened his hips out, he got all his weight onto his left foot and was able to produce enough force through his palm to push his weight over onto the foot and be incredibly strong through his lower body and his core to skip the little screw on and go again to the top. You'll see here he'll get all his body weight up and over that left foot, and he's going to bump the hand as far to the side as he can. Nice. And he's got the toe hook underneath as well, so he's in a super stable position. He read that boulder so well. He knew exactly what he was doing when he got up there, and he knew it wasn't the way it was set. So the confidence in knowing his own ability and what he's capable of, yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah, good stuff from Mejdi. Clever climbing. And it'll be interesting to see if anyone else tries that or whether he just read it instinctively in the moment, because the athletes do read the routes together and they discuss Peter.
Be interesting to see if he's shared his ideas with his fellow French climber in finals, or if he's kept it to himself.
Yeah, we'll find out in a minute. Kokoro Fuji is about to get going, defending world champion. Part of a big Japanese squad here who's already made an impression.
So incredibly strong through that move. You see his shoulders his arms stayed at 90 degrees the entire time. He didn't dip.
So strong, isn't he, on those kind of swing moves. Right now pressing head almost on his palm as he rocks upwards.
He does have a toe hook currently on the lower hole, but he's just moved that off now. And I think we're going to see him go fast.
He's wanting a foot swap. Brings the right foot back down to the sloper.
The intended beater, but again a bit too fast. That swinging off the last move, just his hips coming all the way around. Like I said, in semi-finals, where your hips go, you will go. That's my biggest tip for climbing, is make sure your hips go where you want to be going. If they're coming down, you are too.
I have no control over my hips personally. I'm the worst tango dancer you'll ever see in your life, but I'll take your word for it. So he has that left foot pressed in, made the bump.
I think his feet were a little too slow there. He wants to get those feet super quick. So as soon as he's moving to the side, that right foot wants to be coming through, so the left foot's got time to slam into the wall as well, to stop all that body weight going left, so you stay to the right of the hold.
So he has a look up at the wall. He's got 2 minutes on the clock, just checks the time. And that's your leaderboard on the left. So 4 athletes in at the moment.
It's interesting to see what the different athletes bring out with them. We spoke a little bit about it previously. Some bring a bag out, some just have their liquid chalk. Often you'll see athletes with a chalk bag and wearing a chalk bag too, which is interesting, and I wish I could tell you why. I did it myself. I don't know why.
Really?
I think almost it's, you want to have both just as for the options. We're seeing more and more that the male climbers are wearing chalk bags. It used to be mostly the female climbers. I think on one of these boulders we might not see anyone wearing a chalk bag, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
We will. Something exciting is coming up, so stick with us. And if you're just joining us, well, we are at the World Championships here, and it's the men's boulder final. Kokoro Fuji, attempt number 2 on this boulder. He's looking to try to bring him. He hasn't quite figured this out yet, has he?
He doesn't look comfortable there, right?
No, goes for the toe.
He's going for a toe hook. It looked like he didn't quite have the flexibility then to get his foot up there. That would be so cool if that worked.
It would be amazing, but that time he missed it. And he's just got a minute now, so he cannot rest long.
Don't forget, Kokoro's just been sat behind the wall. He's been getting prepped, and then Mejdi's come out, he's flashed it. Kokoro's going to be like, okay, this was a really fast turnaround. He knows something special just happened for Mejdi, and he's out there on the mats trying to figure that out now. So maybe it's not playing on his mind directly right now, but it's obviously been something that he's aware of, because he's had to get his shoes on a lot quicker, right?
Yeah.
He's sat behind the wall, you've got your own little routine that you're doing. You've usually got a few minutes maybe, or sometimes 4 minutes the whole time, but Mejdi topped within less than a minute, so yeah.
Yeah, he'll know there might be a trick in there somewhere. Perhaps that's what he was looking for with that toe.
Maybe because he was also spending a lot of time in that space. He looked uncomfortable getting to that last hold. It's such a shame we're not going to see him get to have another attempt.
Yeah, slipped on his last go. Not enough time. Kokoro leaves the stage. And the brushers will do their work to make sure the boulders are nice and clean.
You can see as well, it's taken it out of him, like he looks tired, right? Like that is a physical boulder. They are making the moves look easy, but on his last attempt, you did see a slip. And here you can see he's fighting hard. They are physical, powerful, hard moves.
And of course, semi-finals earlier on this morning. I mean, is it enough time to recover between the semi-finals and finals? Like when you were competing, could you pull it back? Could you recover enough?
Of
in
course,
that time?
you have to. You don't have a choice if you're good enough.
You're just munching the protein bars. You know?
I wouldn't have been very successful if I couldn't recover between rounds.
That's true. But
yeah, it's something you have to train, though. You have to be fit enough. And, you know, now I'm focusing on rock climbing, and it's the luxury of being able to choose when I climb, when I feel good, and just rest when I fancy it. You know, that's very different to competition climbing. Comp climbing is so much harder than rock climbing, in my opinion.
yeah, it's just that time, isn't it? Well, Mikel is underway and up. Good first moves from him, looking strong and powerful.
Fighting hard here.
Right, palm down as he starts to press upwards. Finds the jib. Eyes locked on that last hold.
Oh, wow.
And it's a flash from Mikel. What a moment for him.
He hit that top hold so perfectly. His contact strength was incredible. He was not letting go of that hold when he hit it.
Well, that is an awesome moment. Different beater from his teammate. We wondered if they shared it. He decided to do that.
I'm curious if Mejdi had that plan before he pulled on, or if it was just kind of instinctive, because it looked planned to me. I think Mikel knew exactly what he was doing, and he hit that last hold so very perfectly.
Yeah, let's watch this again. This was the bottom. Powerful one-arm moves through it. Made the snatch, started the swing, got the left foot involved.
Interestingly, his bottom foot was underneath the blue hold, so he was in a very similar position to Mejdi. He didn't look as comfortable, but when he went for the hold, he wasn't able to step through. He just was insanely strong and managed to hold the swing long enough to kick into the wall. And yeah, there was nothing that was pulling him off that wall then.
Job done. So Serato will know that it is possible to flash this. As you said, you hear the crowd, you hear the time, so.
And you get called out quickly.
And you get called out quickly. So 2 flashes down. What can Serato do here? Remember, just 16 years old. Bumps the hand. Looking his usual calm, casual self here. Tongue sticking out as he makes the match. And let's watch this press. As we know, fairly straightforward up to this point. It's the last move. It's all important. Like
exactly the same
Mejdi.
as Mejdi, yeah. You can see his flexibility here. That hip flexibility to be able to be in that position is insane. It's so impressive. Something that I think is often overlooked and is hard to see, but has been a great demonstration on this boulder.
Well, that boulder is done. And Serato, having climbed in first position, he will jump to the top of the leaderboard due to count back to the semi-finals. So did what he needed to do.
And you often point out how calm and collected he looks. Just so casual walking back. He could be anywhere right now. He's on the stage of the finals in the World Championships, and he's just totally chill.
Yeah, he is. He's climbs with that flow that some of the Japanese athletes have, and he's got it in buckets. Good work from Serato.
It's really nice, actually, to see a boulder, those with the hip flexibility to be able to get into that position, just made it look easy. You know, like flexibility won on that climb.
It really did. Well, Serato, as we thought, confirmed at the top of the leaderboard, followed by Mikel Mawem and then Mejdi Shak. So 2 French athletes and the Japanese athlete at the top. Dohyun Lee after that, Kokoro Fuji, Nikolai Uznik down at the bottom. Both Kokoro and Nikolai not making tops, just zones for them, but they will stay in touch and plenty more climbing to come.
And the route setter's almost right. They
Almost
said
right.
1, maybe 2. They thought it'd be 1 athlete not topping, it's 2. And then, yeah, they're looking for quite a few tops on other boulders, so I think it's going to be a lot of action coming.
I think so, and this is boulder number 2. So dual text, as we said, and Shauna, this first move from those starting holds up to the press, that's where that no texture surface is really hard to spot.
It is really hard to spot. It's quite fun, actually, because, you know, the black on yellow, it makes it hard to see. for us, but it's also hard to see for the athletes, which is quite unique. Dual texture is often very obvious. You can see it here, so it's a great example in the zone of which bit is no texture. So the bit with the white on, and you can see here as well, is the bit with texture. But the start hold, so the two tapes where the start hold is for your hands, is entirely textureless.
Yeah, so that starting ledge feature where the two green lines are on the start.
And you have to do a big stand up into the hold that's quite high up above you, into a press, and apparently there's a little bit of texture hidden away on that press hold above you. We couldn't see it standing underneath it.
The setters were like, oh, there's a spot, and I was looking.
They were telling us, and I think I nodded.
I did
was
too,
like,
yeah. Okay, I was like, oh, yeah, sure.
Sure thing. But maybe we'll be able to see it when they're on the wall.
I'm so glad you said that. I did exactly the same thing. All right, Nikolai, let's see what you can do. He needs really to get the top here to stay in touch with the podium. And there we go, sliding around on that press.
But he read the move. He learned on that go.
And after you make that move, there's some tricky footwork after. One of the balls in the middle particularly has very little texture on it.
And then one of the balls, it also has a little jib on it, so a screw-on hold that's going to require some strong tension through the foot.
Oh, he's up.
Great adjustment
second
there.
Go, yeah.
Hips into the wall.
And this is where you have to trust your feet. And it's one of those things you get told when you start climbing, you have to trust your feet, and a boulder like this really shows it. So out towards the zone hold. I'll wait for confirmation of that. There it is, awarded on the bottom left of your screen. And there's the jib you were talking about on the ball.
Yeah, so you can see it just there, but right now he's on really sloping, terrible footholds. So he's got to keep his weight going through the feet, like you were saying. He's making the most of that hand, but it's all pressing, not pulling. So he wants to work this right foot down onto the little screw-on hold here, and then there's some footwork, really patient footwork that is going to be required. Quite fast, so he's going to try and step both feet onto where his right foot is. Step his right foot out to the final ball, reaching round the arete onto the screw-on that we can see right now.
Yeah, there it is. Not a lot on it, and it's a little bit blind. And you can see looking around the corner to try to spot it. There's some chalk there.
There is, and also if you look, you should know where it is because there's a line of the wall. So the top of the hold is in the line of the wall, which is like a free tick mark, right?
Yeah, good point. Because you're not allowed tick marks. Sometimes on a lead wall, the setters will put a tick mark in.
Exactly, but you can't put them on yourself. But you can use what's already on the wall. It's, again, tactics, comp tactics.
That is, you know, it's ridiculous, but I've never thought of that as a way of doing it. It's genius. You should be a climber, Sean.
Maybe one day.
One day. The setters actually down there, sitting in their armchairs, having a well-deserved break. They've got a pretty hectic schedule here at the World Champs. And Nikolai disappointed that he couldn't see that. So hopefully now he'll have got it lined up in his head.
Interestingly, he didn't opt to do anything with his feet when he went to the right there. I think maybe he was hoping to find the hold and for it to feel good and then be able to stop and be in balance. We might see that. I think the vision was for some fast footwork, really precise, matching the feet on the second to last ball, stepping out to the right as you hit that right hand.
So he crosses his legs through, and of course time when you're on a slab tends to be your enemy because you have to be precise and careful with your movements. And it is ticking down, and look, that's the line Shauna was talking about, the jib right at the top of it. Now he's pushing out with the right foot, with the right hand on the zone hold.
Working his foot down onto that tiny screw-on hold.
Oh, he's
and
on,
loses
but
the
he's
left foot. The left foot slipping there. So the focus just wasn't going through the left foot there. So unfortunate.
Well, it looked like he was almost going to call it, decided to have another go. He's got 17 seconds, and I talked about you don't want to be rushing a slab. He's going to have to now, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, we very rarely see success when you're rushing a slab. I honestly think time speeds up when you have a slab boulder. It's because it often takes a long time to be precise, to find the movements. You know, you're not feisting, you're not powering through all these movements. You're taking your time, you're being really delicate, and then the clock just seems to move so much quicker. I mean, it felt like it then.
It did. There's some kind of a theory somewhere about relativity, but I'm not going to quote it because I'll get it wrong mainly. Yeah, so this was the moves.
Great look at how bad those footholds really are.
They're awful, aren't they? All right, Duncan Lee, let's see what you can do. second athlete out on Boulder 2.
Really looking focused there. He's got a great picture on his profile.
Yeah, big smile on his face.
Yeah, really smug. It looks great.
Yeah.
Opting to go for the top of the volume that's straight up there, the big round one. He wasn't pressing. I think he'll need to press to get the weight through the feet. Hips in, shoulders up, nice and open.
All right, here he goes again. Will he use the same tactic? No, the press, much
better. You can see his hips are straight into the wall, arching his back and getting all his weight through his feet. Something he's going to need to keep doing along this boulder, keeping that weight through the feet.
It's an interesting one because it starts off so quickly with that big, powerful movement, and you have to slow things right down for this
Real
section.
change of pace. And then potentially speed up on the way to the erect too.
Yeah, and you could see him taking a breath, just calming himself down here as he starts this foot sequence.
So what he's doing here, raising the leg, he's trying to get his weight over. So you can see his hips are still above his foot. If he can keep moving his hips and udging them to the right, he'll be able to get his foot down like he just has here. So he was using his leg almost as a counterbalance to move himself rightwards there.
Well, he finds the erect and the jib on it. So one move further than Nikolai did. No more points, of course, because the zone hold is back towards the beginning.
So he's going to be doing some really tension footwork here, is what I was about to say.
And now he's going to reach around the erect again.
And the setter said you want to end up with your right foot there, which is what he's just managed to figure out.
So good work. He's got to match this final hold, though. Two hands touching it somehow, in control, and that will be a top for Do-Hyun Lee. Bumping him up into the first spot provisionally. Some athletes to come, of course. And yeah, that was fascinating. You had his head in his hands.
You know,
there.
you could see it did not look easy. He didn't look comfortable. He was having to figure it out as he was on the wall. He was really, really working from a mind perspective. He was needing to really consciously climb. He couldn't just kind of feel his way up it. He had to think about it so much. And he did just that. He really figured it out.
Love the smile on his face, that expression.
The surprise almost.
Yeah, he couldn't quite believe he was there. Well, this was earlier on, so he reached up underneath. That's a fairly simple move, but this part's so tricky, and to match that balance and tension.
You saw the leg come up as the counterbalance again there. He's really good at using his body to find the right position, exactly what you need to do on a slab. Another great smug, happy. I love it. Smug's maybe the wrong word, but I think it almost looks like it.
I want to look your picture up now and see what that was like.
You don't.
All right, here goes Mejdi. Which method will he use? He had a look over to the right, into the press. Slaps up in frustration as he comes down.
Yeah, I think he just was a little bit distracted almost, it seemed there.
Yeah, he glanced to the right, didn't he? Right.
Yeah, he was almost, maybe not as focused as he needed to be. I think we'll see that change now. Yeah, much better. And you saw that his hips were in, but his shoulders were also in, so all of his weight was perfectly above his feet there.
Oh. Right hand catches the bottom pocket. Makes the match.
He'll know that Do-Hyun just did this climb. He'll have felt it in the crowd, he'll have heard it, he'll know from coming out so soon. So it does change how you feel coming out to a climb. I think, sometimes it's great, but it also makes it harder in many ways. Definitely going to be something he's aware of before climbing.
Yeah, there's so many levels to it, isn't it? Because it's, the physical side of it and the mental side as well comes into play.
And so puffed cheeks there. He knows that he wants to get his foot down, just not. You can see here he doesn't know how exactly he wants to do it. So you're getting a display of what's going on in his mind, whereas Do-Hyun was quite slow and you could see him thinking. We're seeing Mejdi moving around, kind of acting out what's going on. It's really different to watch, I think. Maybe that's just me being geeky again, but...
No, be as geeky as you want. In fact, there's so many comments about your ability to read movement. And it's true, you have this, obviously being a past athlete, you understand the movement really well, but you have a wonderful way of explaining it, so...
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm trying.
What is UG, by the way? You keep saying UG to the right.
UG to the right?
Yeah, I think that's what If you say it again,
Okay,
I'll bring it up.
bring it up.
It was a great word that I hadn't heard before.
Udge, maybe.
Udge, that's it.
That's
Udge.
it. So it's like kind of a little like, how do I explain udge? Like a subtle like movement.
Okay.
Yeah. If an udge comes up, then I'll show you.
Please do, because I'm going to steal it. All right, now Mejdi, this is the sequence he couldn't figure out before. He's looking to kind of kick his leg over and drop down onto it, but you have to be so precise to do that.
He looks like he's not being as confident as he could be in his feet. So he's trying to, his arms are bent, he's trying to use his arms on that upper hold. That upper hold is quite good, so it's almost luring him into being higher. He wants to keep his weight through his feet, be really precise. It's something he can do. It's almost he needs to get his mind off the zone hold, off the hand, and start to move around with his feet, getting that weight to the right. Whether it's with a leg leaning out or stepping his foot across from wide. But this is all about footwork.
Yeah, and still this slight...
That hold looks so close there.
It does, doesn't it? That's, yeah, it's foreshortening of the angle. Yeah, and you can see there, a couple of meters away, but that's better,
much better,
slower.
but his arm is still bent, so he's quite high on his hands.
He's just
but
got
he's
a
made
toe
it work.
on it. Okay, well, he'll know now that the time is running out. 25 seconds. This might be his last attempt at this. He wants to pop for it, perhaps.
I think he's going to go fast. I think he wants to go slow.
Well, that's what he's aiming for. You can see how small it is by the screws on it. Tiny holds, and he misses it. Now gets it. Oh, the line. They didn't hear you, clearly.
I hope they watch this back and learn about their free tick marks.
Well, when you go and interview the winner, just pop back into ISO and have a word, all right? There is the...
No, it's so hard to know that in the moment. You know, the clock was counting down. He knew the pressure was on. It was his last attempt and his only attempt at those movements. He looked like he wanted to go fast. His left foot slipped, which kind of reset him a little bit. And then he went slow, which worked really well. He just missed the hold. And I do think he would have, if he'd have hit the hold, we would have seen the top. But a Boulder's gone forever for him now.
Yeah, it has. There you could see it. He touched it initially. Oh, no, he didn't touch it. So he tried. He was in the right place and then readjusted too high before dropping down. By that point, he was gone. So no send for Mejdi. Gets the zone, of course. And the pace of things slowing down on this slab now. Kokoro Fuji runs out. You can see 65.72% tops for finals for him and 105 participations. So experienced.
Wow. A little short on that. He needed to kind of get a bit higher up. His legs were still bent there, which was a really powerful position to end in. If he can stand up tall, get his hips nice and into the wall, legs straight, there we go, much better.
Yeah,
great learning from him, a huge adjustment, but only took one attempt to figure it out.
Yeah, good work from Kokoro. So he has the right foot on now, but slightly out of balance as he tries to find the right point. Gets the pocket-like feature on that ball, that dish.
He's one of only 2 athletes not to top the first one, so he's going to be looking for a top here to get himself back in the game.
Yeah, so he needs this. Adjust the feet once more.
Always such great support from the other Japanese athletes and the coaches that you hear Gamba Gamba so loud in the arena every time they're climbing. It's really, really nice to see.
It's my favorite type of alley style call is the Gamba. I love a Gamba. If Kokoro happens to win this, he will become only the 2nd man to ever defend a Boulder World Champ title. Dimitri did it twice in 2011, 2012, so it hasn't been done for a while. But he's struggling with that right foot. You can see it shining in the light, and that shows how slippery that part is.
You saw his foot slip straight off there. It looked, again, he was kind of acting out what was going on in his mind, trying different things. Very obviously, I think, unsure of what to do in that moment, which is a hard place to be on the mat when you fall off, not knowing what to do. It's not like you're trying to figure out which method do I get on and try. It's sometimes you've just got to get on and figure it out. Great Gamba sign in the background there as well.
Yeah, I didn't see that. And look at the flags as well, hanging from the ceiling. It's a pretty special stadium here. It's nice to be in a stadium as well. We've had a lot of outside comps recently, and obviously the weather conditions that come with that, and we can control it a little bit more in here.
I think this is one of my favourite stadiums as well, with the natural light. It's something that I've never thought about before, but being in here, it's really, really, really nice to kind of feel like you're outdoors in some ways, but yeah, be in the arena, and it has a different feel, I think, when you're in a stadium. Like, it kind of steps it up a level.
Yeah, well, it's just the noise. It just echoes around the building,
creating a more intensified atmosphere.
Yeah, and it is a pretty big stadium. There's 10,500 people can fit in here when it's full, so the athletes performing in front of a big crowd. Right, so right foot on that slippy surface, and he's looking to drop the right foot down to find the jib. Minute buzzer goes.
So he's really high on his arms, but he's very close to that foot. He's got the hand swap though, so if he can adjust that right foot.
He's not standing on the jib.
He's not on the jib. Ideally wants to adjust that right foot down. There is nothing for his right hand.
Well, I'm not sure if he did it deliberately or not, but that's the result. A huge, and he's hurt that leg, grabbed it. I think he's okay. But yeah, that was the problem with not being on the jib.
That wasn't pain, that was frustration. Yeah. It's often mistaken, I think, for them being in pain, but they're just so frustrated at not making it work. He wasn't on the jib because he wasn't able to move. Once he shifted his weight to the right, suddenly his weight was in his right foot as well, so he wouldn't be able to move that unless he moved it really quickly, which is why we saw the slip.
Well, that's it for him. He calls it with 10 seconds to go, waves to the crowd.
And looks a bit beat up, he looks a bit tired. I think he's been working really hard through his hips, through his legs there. It's funny when slab climbing beats you up, because it can be really intense. In this boulder, you know, the first move's really backy, and then you're having to create a lot of tension through the feet, especially stepping that foot out right. They're going to be working really hard through their lower body. I think the semi-finals boulders have been a great test of different parts of the athletes' bodies and what they're capable of, and these boulders again.
Yeah, and that was that frustration moment. And he leaves the stage. Yeah, it's I often have a chat with the athletes after they finish climbing, and you're right, you know, the amount of scrapes and bruises and bangs, it's a physical sport.
I tell you what, you're showering after a finals round, it's painful. You know, you got all those scrapes all over you. It's something I definitely didn't look forward to, and something no one ever talks about, you know?
Yeah. Exactly, and these athletes have got a lot of climbing ahead of them as well, those looking to compete in the boulder and lead at the end. I mean, they've got to do the lead competition coming up.
Mikhail just kind of losing it there slightly, knows exactly what he needs to do, not even chalking up, getting straight back on.
Yeah,
and making
no
that
issues.
Adjustment. It's interesting, we've seen a lot of athletes have to make that adjustment after their first attempt. Really great setting.
Yeah, and it's nice to see it work that second time as well. Must feel like a progression for them. Right, so his right hand in the dish makes the match. Great expression.
It's a good hold. If that was the other way up and you were climbing on lots of them, you know, it'd feel great, but it's upside down and you're on terrible feet. So suddenly not a good hold anymore.
It's almost like they set a hard boulder or something. I don't know what they were thinking. Right.
They're mean, the route says.
Yeah, they are indeed. It's a cat and mouse game between the athletes and the setters, and we'll see a boulder later on that really plays up to that. But right now he's creeping that foot down.
You could see he was much lower. His hips were so much lower, so he was able to get his weight really far to the left, to weight the left foot, and then stretch out to get his foot on the right. And he's having a little peer around. I don't know if you can see where the foothold is. I think we just lost his foot there. He lost his foot.
Yeah, we might be able to see that again in a sec. But look, he's figuring out the sequences on the mat.
See, it's all in the hips. He can dance.
He can. I'll have to go and give me lessons. So look at this fascinating stuff as he talks it through in his head.
And you can see the intensity. You can see what this means. You can see he's figuring it out, his eyes darting around, trying to figure it out. He steps off, focuses on exactly what he's doing. Then he's brought the brushes in. He knows he's got time. I think he just had a really unfortunate foot slip there, so he wasn't able to kind of execute. He didn't fall off, he just slipped off, which I think is a big difference, whether you fall or slip. When you fall, you can learn from that. When you slip, it's unfortunate and you can kind of correct that, but it's not going to be something you learn from in order to make an adjustment next time.
Yeah, and he was it's interesting how long he's taking on this resting, because obviously he's using it as an opportunity to rest, but very calm with his instructions to the brushers as well.
Very much so, yeah. Shout out to the brushers as well.
Oh, they do a heck of a job, seriously. Just one arm, one hand palming upwards that time. Stretches out into the dish, thumb in play, better footwork. Let's see if that planning has worked.
Feels like there's a buzz in the arena right now. I think the crowd really want to see another top. You can feel it. He'll feel that too.
Well, he's got
so precise on that foot placement. You can see his heel's quite high though. He hasn't dropped it yet, so he's not weighting it very well. There we go, we've seen that change. His heels come up a little bit because it's such a small hold.
Gets
Really
the
smooth.
jib, holds it. But he's wanting to cross that leg through now, which he does. So he's got the left foot over, right foot around the edge of the arete.
It's not over until you have both hands on that top hold. He's not swapping feet. He's going again with the right hand.
Mikhail Mauer has magic hands. What a match. Just so
he knows that was important.
That bump, I mean, I thought he was gone. I had almost counted him out when he made the move. And
so what we saw when he made that move is his hips just were so solid. They stayed to the left of the arete. They stayed in close to the wall and allowing him to stay on. It was absolutely amazing that he was able to make all that work, keep that connection through his hands, his feet, his hips, and what great climbing. What great slab climbing.
Mikhail Mauer very much in touch here after 2 boulders. What a day this man is having. Let's see this again. That was the first foot pop. Just that left foot sliding down. And then the final go, nailed the jib and then bumped that right hand in.
His hips really glued to the wall, over to the left, almost arching his body.
Yeah, like
there.
a C shape on the wall.
Oh, it's cool to see, and I think the crowd wanted that one.
Yeah, we needed to hype things up again, and you could hear their reaction. Most people choosing to stand up down at the front, getting as close to the stage as possible. Myself and Shauna are down at the plastic bit right in the middle of the arena with the audience around us. Great place to be. Right, Serato. Goes for that left hand wrap around the top of the volume.
Yeah, I think we'll see him change his mind there. We saw a couple of the other athletes do that on their first attempt. Not opting for the press. I think it's almost, they don't realize how slippery this hold is until they slip off it. There you go, changing his mind straight into the thumb press.
Yeah, it's interesting. When we were looking at the boulder, I don't think there was as many lights on it because now we can see the shine there, but perhaps it's a bit duller on stage because from the camera angle here, you can see the texture, but we couldn't see it when we were underneath.
Are you just trying to make us feel bad because we couldn't tell where the texture was?
I'm old, I'm going blind, it's a real problem. So, Serato matches. Calm and cool as always.
But again, first attempt, a little wobble, straight up on his second attempt.
So he looks for the jib now.
Spending time taking that foot over really slowly, almost, but not quite.
How is it? Those thumbs saving him there. And now he's on. Great adjustments from Serato as he
went with
saves
more
that
confidence with the foot that second time.
That's all he's holding on to.
No hesitation on the movement across there. He knew what he was doing. But
it's
now
not.
having to think.
Yeah, and it's not over yet. So he's looking for the left. Come on. I mean, there's everything there,
Wow.
isn't it? The finger strength to hold that jib.
You could see his forearm. You could see all of the muscles in his forearm working so hard to keep him on the wall right then. The tension in his feet. He kicked round the arete with his right foot too to really squeeze in. Great hip placement. And yeah, no hesitation going for that last hold whatsoever.
He should have fallen off that boulder at least twice for my counting.
He shouldn't.
It's
No
unreal.
way.
that finger strength and the thumb strength to save the first little slip is crazy.
That's what we want to see. We want to see the fight. We don't want to see them giving up. He earned that. He deserved every moment.
He really did. What a performance from him. This was this slip I was talking about, those thumbs saving him in that moment. And then that's all that kept him on the wall. The bump, like Mikhail, and a match.
And halfway through, our top 3 climbers with 2 tops. It's all 2 tops, 2 zones, of course. So it's all on attempts right now, which is just making it even more exciting.
Yeah, usually we talk about, wanting lots of separation. It's great, but I don't care right now. I'm enjoying this fight. It's so tight and close.
I mean, look at what the route setters have done. Attempts to top 3, 4, 5, 1.
Unreal.
With Mejdi having 1 top. He'll be looking to get back in the running for those podium places for sure. 2 boulders to go. Things can change drastically, but I don't think the route setters could have written a better set of results.
No, it's perfect.
At this point in the competition.
They will be enjoying sitting down at the front, taking their moment to suck in the atmosphere.
Remy did say to us he expected 3 tops of that boulder.
True.
3
they are
tops of that
nailing it,
boulder.
aren't they? Fair play setter team here. All right, well, boulder number 3 is the purple boulder. You can see it there, and it's got a move that's very similar to the move in Hachioji at the beginning of the season. And if anyone watched that competition, you'll know that no athlete worked it out.
Yeah, hard place to be as a setter.
Yeah, it really was, and there was a lot of discussion over that. And something the setter said to me that I really took on board was that you have to sometimes sort of teach athletes movement. And although it didn't work in Hachioji, obviously they've gone away, they've practiced it, and now we've got a similar move, and this is where that learning starts to play off. We're just having a pause in proceedings as we recap on what's happening, and Nikolai on boulder number 1 here with 2 fingers in.
It's so tiny, that hold.
Yeah, minute. I always love it when they zoom in on the screw and you realise how small the hold is. Dohyun Lee pressing his chin against the wall. This was him down low on that move.
Using absolutely everything that they've got.
Kick the left foot out. Powerful stuff to stop the barn door.
Great flexibility there as well to kick his foot so high. And another lesson in flexibility for Mejdi right here.
Yeah, that method, as you said, all about opening up the hips.
Sitting on that foot, getting all the way through the foot so that you can take the right hand off and reach over to the left.
And this man very much in touch, Mikael Mawam, sitting in 2nd position currently. And then Serato, cool, calm and collected, very powerful. Similar, well, the same move as Mejdi. And then this is Nikolai on this slab we've just watched. Left foot kicking the zone hold on the way through. I hadn't seen that before. Dohyun pressing up. First go, sliding off by trying to go up above it. Adjusted, made the press instead. Eyeing up the dish with the right hand. And the step through from the jib to the arete. And this is Mejdi Shao kicking over the first time, just a bit too hot coming into that hold. Kokoro Fuji with the big stand up again. Slight mistake on his first go, made the adjustments, a lot of the athletes seem to, but that was a big foot pop to send him down on that attempt. Okay, so next boulder. Now this pressing move is between where it says 15 degrees. There's one, the purple hold on the left and then the zone hold. That's where you can face out towards the audience and jump upwards, pushing your arms out sideways to make that press move.
It is for sure, but we've also got the running kind of run across start before they even get to that move. So there's a lot going on in this boulder. They're going to start on the left and then run to the right, hitting the black volume that we can see right here. The zone is just the screw hold that you can see. So they'll press into that, and then they want to spin 180, pressing up, and then apparently the getting to the top hold is also going to be quite tricky. Really awkward to get up into that space, requiring a lot of flexibility again. There's a little tiny jib on there that they can use to help them get up a little bit higher. I believe the zone hold is different to what was just on our screen. The zone hold is actually the little jib, so we'll see that now. They want to edge up a bit higher, higher, and then pressing and eventually reaching around the top hold. Apparently you can go to it with either hand, facing either direction. So there are options for our climbers.
There are indeed. Yeah, sometimes the 3D render does change because it's done a couple of days before, and of course the setters tweak the boulders. That's why it was
Until
different.
the very last minute.
Yeah, well,
making
literally.
sure they're perfect.
Yeah, less than an hour before they were out there, drills out, making those adjustments.
One thing I want to talk about is if you see the 3 black volumes at the bottom, you can see that the middle one has some different colours on either side, and that is to stop the climbers using that volume for either their hands or their feet. So it's stopping a toe hook stop on that first purple hold, and it's stopping them reaching down, really forcing the movement that the setters wanted. And that's their job, and I think they've done it really well here. You can see on the left, the little yellow panel, that's entirely textureless, and on the right is a bunch of different holds just to really force that movement.
Yeah, so it's one of those coordination style run and jumps into a chimney and then into a difficult top. It's like the Hachioji boulder on steroids, basically, this thing. It's full on. All right, Nikolai. Oh, he goes for a giant leap across.
He is, and he's making more and more progress to the right. You see he's getting further and further across the wall, and that's what he needs to do. He really wants to get both hands onto that black volume on the far right, and kind of in a little perched position.
Yeah, and that's that zone hold that had changed from the diagram. And you asked a good question from the route setters, which is kind of, do you need that to top the boulder out? And they said to you, well, yes, it's helpful, but maybe not for some of the athletes.
Yeah, they said that some of the athletes might not use it, they don't need it, but it does help you to gain height. So I wondered whether it was there just to be a zone hold so that they can get one in. But they said it is useful, so we should see the athletes using it. I feel like I asked the route setters so many questions. I think they're going to be wanting me to kick me out.
I'll put you on the team as a consultant.
I was just curious about a lot of the movements, and I wanted to be able to tell everyone that's listening here as much as possible.
Hey, it's great. It's really, really good. So Nikolai, no success so far. No zone, no top for him on this boulder, and only 2 zones. And he's sitting in 6th. Needs to get a top here to upgrade his score.
We saw really good progress across the wall again then. His hips are really close and tight in. I don't think he knows what he's trying to do, so he doesn't know where he's trying to end up. So understanding the position you want to finish in is crucial on moves like this, so you can be really aware of that. If you're at the gym, you could jump on and feel what it feels like to end there, and that would be a perfect way. You can't do that here. It looked like that might work for him, though.
Yeah, it's getting closer. I mean, he got the right hold better. Starts this swing again. Time is ticking down, though. Better. Now he makes it work. And now will he turn around? Will he try the press? He does immediately turn around.
Yeah. So we need to see a big jump, really strong through the triceps and the shoulders.
All right, here we go. This is that Hachioji style move, the big jump up. Hold your breath, everyone, if you're watching at home. This is a big moment. He goes for the jump.
Oh, he knew what to do. The route setters will be very pleased, I am sure.
It's justification after Hachioji, where there was a little bit of criticism about that move, but now paying off here in the World Champs. Can't stick the slap, and frustration starting to kick in for Nikolai.
It's
Time ticking.
Really great that he made that move work for him, not going 2 hands to the right, but pushing between the 2. I think we'll see most of the climbers trying that actually.
You can see how much he wants to try this move again. He's only got 8 seconds though. No zone, of course. Sticks it, needs to get to the zone.
Foot flip.
And spins down. It was always going to be a big ask to do it in that time. Found something special though.
I actually think the clock ticking down really helped him on that move in the middle there. He had to rush. There was no time for hesitation. He couldn't engage his brain. He just had to jump and push and hope. And actually it worked really well for the move up. So the big push move, but then obviously the rush made the foot slip, and he definitely didn't have enough time to top out, unfortunately.
Well, these are
that's going to be a boulder that he wishes he got to have another go of.
Well, especially knowing that, having seen the boulder in Hachioji and seeing it was fairly easy once you figured it out, it must be frustrating for him because he knows it's there if he can get across that run.
For sure, but having spoken to the route setter, apparently it's not over.
Nope.
So you do that move, and then in Hachioji, they had a very simple finish. Here, this is definitely stepped up. It's spicier. They are going to have to really fight right until the very end on this one.
Yeah, as it should be for a World Champs. This event, of course, taking place every 2 years. Next year, there's a small amount of the Olympics taking place instead, another big event. And that's what the athletes are trying to get tickets for. Some of them are trying to get tickets for here. Right, let's watch again. And again, this run and jump and press sequence.
Whilst talking about the Olympics and this event being part of that selection process, this event is one of two events that these athletes will do, the ones hoping to get to the games, those who are and who are competing combined here, they will have done lead qualification yesterday, which is going to be taking its toll, I imagine, but not for this guy.
No, he's in, and now he gets to do the press move. Maybe a bit too slow by pushing up like that.
So I think he's going to really want to get some power going through his legs. So I think he tried to push with his shoulders a lot more there. You saw him grabbing his shoulder afterwards. That's going to feel achy, I imagine. And definitely tomorrow morning, but if he can get some power going through his legs, really use those bigger muscles in his legs to get a bit of height, it'll make it a lot easier for him.
Yeah, he was trying to push his way up and it didn't quite work. You saw the strain on his face.
He went quite static. We did see him run across and take two hands to the black volume like the route setters had intended, so yeah, cool to see that beta work too.
Yeah, he's figuring it out. It's a bit at a time. 2.5 minutes on the clock. And it's hard to tell on screen, but the middle volume there is really slopey. You can't stop on it. It's not like you could creep across that thing. And as you said, blocked, of course, on both ends to help prevent that.
Exactly, really slopey, as is the purple one. You know, it looks almost like you could jump to the purple, have a little stop there. You cannot. You have to go really quickly through this start. It's really well forced. It was great to see Nikolai work his own beater out, because it did look like he didn't know to go with two hands to the black volume like Do-hyun did on his first attempt. I hope he manages to figure it out again. I feel like he needs to have a little moment to compose.
Yeah, and he has got the time, 1:45, so maybe this is where he needs to just slow things down.
Or speed things up.
Speed things up, and he remembers or redoes that move, and now he faces into the wall. So first time we get to see someone attempt this way of doing it.
I asked the route setter, is it possible to face in? And they think it's impossible. Their words, not mine. From looking at it, I would be inclined to agree. It's incredibly steep in that section of wall. I think facing out, even if it is possible to face in, facing out's going to be easier, right? So I do hope we see him try that on the next attempt and get those legs involved, really push him up.
When the setter said that to you, there was a flash in your eyes that I thought was you going, I reckon I could maybe give it a go.
No, I just don't reckon you should ever say anything's impossible with these athletes.
Well, he's going to try it again here, so obviously he thinks this might be the way. Oh, my shoulders are hurting watching this, so he's watched the drive up with the legs.
And not far off, hence
potentially possible.
My look of, I think someone could do that.
I guess the angle of the wall pushes you backwards a bit as well. Misses it that time.
Opting to chalk up with only 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, he's going to have to be quick. He needs to get this done now. 27 seconds, and he turns almost a little bit.
Yeah, so you can see he's really turning his shoulders so he can get the weight into that black volume, two hands over.
Faces out towards the audience.
Oh, the crowd have told him what he needs to do. He should be hearing that. He needs to bend the legs, get some weight.
And he does drive up much
Pushing
better.
Up, yes.
Oh, slips on the zone hold. He won't be awarded it yet.
Should be awarded now. His foot's moved. We'll see whether he will be awarded it. He did move his foot when he was on it, so it'd be interesting to see if he gets that.
Yeah, it's a close call, and the judges taking their time, actually.
What we saw there, the reason it worked better, he let go of the black volume on the left before jumping, so he was able to come lower. So when I'm saying they want to bend their legs, they want to kind of coil and then spring upwards. In order to do that, he let go of the black volume so he could kind of come down a little bit more and then push up a lot higher.
Yeah, and he got so much more drive, didn't he, with that?
Much more drive, much more height. And I'm sure his shoulders and his triceps will be thanking him.
Yeah, and this was the zone hold, so that time it wouldn't have counted, but he did make moves after that.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one. I'm sure the coaches will be running around.
Yes, there'll be pieces of paper being filled out all over the place, and we're updating the scores.
He has been awarded it.
There we go, so zone awarded, which could be massive.
Zone awarded in 11 attempts.
Wow.
Perseverance.
That is indeed. And it just shows how many times you can go at this thing. So Mejdi, truly new school. Let's see what he thinks of this. Now,
so the spin move, the face in the ground move, is a move he's put on his Instagram. He's done this move before in a similar style. Obviously not this exact move on this exact wall. It's all about training all the different moves, right? He saw this move in Hachioji. He wasn't able to do it in the competition. Went up on stage afterwards and did it, and I believe has done it since in training. something all of the athletes can do. You want to be making sure that you're staying up to date with what the route setters are doing. They're always trying to be innovative. They're trying to think of new ideas, just as they should be. It's so cool to see, and the athletes have to keep up with it.
Yeah, they do, and he learned from that. And now look, straight away faces out.
And let's go, so he can get both hands off here. See, big bend in the legs, super high, straight off the bat.
This is revenge for Mejdi Schalk. He was gutted not to get that move in Hachiyochi. He did it, as you said afterwards, in trainers. And now this movement, let's see, he needs to get this zone, or he might ignore it.
He's touched the zone, but he didn't make a movement on the zone. But it is not over until he has two hands on that top hold. He's going to get into a really precarious position and have to lean backwards. He wants to make sure his feet are built nice and high.
Yeah, and it's the black jib on top. It's not the purple, it's that hold that's the top, and he needs to match that. Adjust the feet, right hand on, needs to get the left hand on as well. Makes it.
Great work from Mejdi. He wanted that. Look at it. Look at what it means.
That is the definition of learning. I mean, look, he came away, he was so disappointed, and now here in Bern, all of that work has paid off. Mejdi Schalk makes the move work.
Electric in this arena in that moment. Such amazing strength and execution that we just saw there. Also staying composed through that last few moves.
Brilliant to see. I got some goosebumps going on there when he was jumping up and down in the strobe lights.
And you know, it took him a while to figure out that start. You could see the frustration building, but he was able to keep it contained.
And look at this reaction as the lights flickered. Brilliant from Mejdi. Right, well, let's breathe again, reset ourselves. Kokoro Fuji's out. That did jump Mejdi up to the top of the leaderboard.
It did, and he'll know that that means a lot. Having not topped all of the boulders so far, he's missing one, so he's going to be trying to catch up, and that puts him back in the running. All
right, well, this final, too close to call at the moment on our third boulder.
See a lot of tape on Kokoro's leg there.
Yeah, that
could be a scrape, it could be that he hurt something.
Well, he did hold that. I think what happened is when he popped the foot on that slab, I think he just hit his thigh a little bit as he came down.
And he might have scraped it, and because you're not allowed blood, he'll have to tape up, which would explain it. He looks like he's not holding him back in the slightest. So I imagine it's just a scrape.
Well, the adrenaline must be pumping as well. I don't think he feels much pain out there, all that going through him. And of course, yeah, as we said at the beginning, returning from a real nasty elbow injury, so he's been in the wars this season. It's good to see him back here, the defending champion. Having a think about this move now.
Opting to press a lot like Nikolai, so we know that that method works. I do think it is easier if he can continue that momentum, get both hands on the black volume, as we saw Do-hyun do. But it does require you to kind of almost forget about that purple and keep the momentum going, turn the shoulders so you're kind of at 90 degrees to the wall, and then it allows the weight to go through the foot and actually get quite a lot out of that black hold. But it's a very different style of movement to what he's trying right now. Be interesting to see if he continues to attempt the same thing or mixes it up.
Yeah, he's got time left to do it. That time it works, though. And now, what will he do? He's facing into the wall at the moment. Doesn't look like he wants to turn around yet. And now he does. So he starts this road. Oh, no, goes back.
Doesn't know if he wants to or knows to as well. There is that.
True, yeah, good point. You can see it's a different set of muscles facing in and facing out, isn't it? It seems to be more shoulders facing in and then more triceps facing out, perhaps.
Yeah, I think slightly. You know, the wall's really steep, so you're going to be leaning back a lot more if you're facing it in. It's definitely going to be a different challenge. And like the setter said, it's so much harder facing it in, so much more strength required to hold the position. You won't get as much from the legs. You won't be able to dip down because you won't be able to let go to kind of go lower into the movement.
Yeah, and the issue with this run and jump is it's not one of those sort of coordination moves that seems to be that easy to learn. Even when they get it a few times, it seems like a low percentage move.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. You know, we're seeing athletes do the move and then take a good few attempts to redo it, which is quite rare for these athletes, right? again, I think it's all in the hips, as we saw Kokoro there. His hips are super close into the wall and landed in the perfect position. They want to be above where his feet end. If they're too far to the left, he'll fall off. If they're too far out from the wall, he'll fall off. Straight above his feet, nice straight line.
I'm going to be thinking hips in my dreams here tonight.
Climbing's all about your hips.
Oh, turns out so. But he's still facing into the wall.
Yeah, really interesting, because I imagine they'll be spinning around on the mat during observation when they're reading this. Oh, big fall there. Big fall and a flop. Straight back up though, straight back on the wall. He's going to go to the bitter end.
Well, this is, he's in now this time. So will he turn around? I don't think he's going to. He's going to try it again. Can he pull off something amazing in this move? He's got one last chance on this.
And the clock is ticking down.
Yeah, speed, come on, let's go. It does not have time. Well, he's hesitated for too long, and that's it, can't figure it out. Yeah, he's not competing in the lead as well, so this is everything for him, this moment.
I believe he's the only athlete in the finals that isn't doing the combined.
Yeah. So he won't be bothering about scrapes or skin at the moment. He'll be giving everything to this.
The athletes that are competing in the combined, those who did make semi-finals and lead, will get a rest day tomorrow, though. So
True,
we are
yeah.
on women's tomorrow.
We are, yeah, that will come. Same time frame as today, so 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Myself and Shauna will be calling the women's comp. They were qualifying last night till really late at night for some of those athletes. All right, Mikhail Mawam is on. I can't wait to see him on this boulder.
Yeah, I'm excited. He's been putting on such a good show. You could hear the crowd get behind him then, you know.
He's just fun to watch. You know, he's one of those athletes. Really expressive, really exciting to see.
Seen quite a lot of phones out there just capturing the moment of him walking out, because the really feels electric in here when he enters the stage. He's given the crowd a great show.
All right, here we go. Very dynamic into that press. Almost doing the jump before he gets to the jump.
It looks there like he's read it to go straight in, which would be wild.
It would be cool to see. Slightly slower that time.
So his foot slipped on the middle volume just then. You can see the rubber mark.
Yeah, good point. So that's
which I think actually slowed him down and almost suggested that he could stop there.
Yeah. So now he's having a long
A useful foot slip.
Yes. Sometimes it helps.
Potentially.
Yeah, and do go and check out our highlights show if you haven't seen it already from the qualifying sessions. There's an amazing foot slip actually there from, I think it was Petra Klingler we caught on film. So it's on the IFSC YouTube channel, and this time he's in. Oh, bumping that palm though across.
Hasn't turned around yet.
Not yet.
Wait. There we go. The crowd giving away so much there, and rightly so. You know, they're part of this show. It is a show.
It is, and he's facing the right way to get this
Hand
done.
off to come a bit lower.
Holds
Big
the move.
try hard.
All right, well, there's the zone, but it's not over yet. He's got to get the black jib on top. Drops the left foot down.
I don't believe he made a movement on the zone, so he won't be awarded that just yet, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, true. He hasn't been given it on the scoreboard.
He's going to need to be really flexible through here. Take his time. Keep fighting hard. Different method to Mejdi. Mejdi turned before going up.
Well, he's got the fingers on it. Creeps the other hand through. Makes the match with just one fingers. It's enough to show control. Tongue out, and Mikhail Mawam. Well, that will help the score.
He is going to be so pleased with that. What a climb. It looked like he enjoyed that one. He looks really chuffed with it.
The judge holds their scorecard high in the air to confirm things.
And it puts him into first place currently.
If Mikhail wins this, it will be a heck of an upset, really. You would not have necessarily predicted that coming into this comp.
Yeah, I don't think, we've not seen him in a finals this year. He's had some great finishes. He's been in the top 10 at the last two events that he's competed in. But yeah, not seen him in a finals for quite a while now.
Yeah, what a moment to peak, eh? Well, that was the zone hold that he wasn't given because of the movement. Doesn't really matter because he topped it out. One finger showing the control.
And again, the route setters, they said you could choose whether you face out or face in for that final movement. And it's like the climbers are fully in sync with the route setters tonight, perfectly showcasing what's possible on these climbs. I think the route setters are going to be really happy.
I think they are. They've done a good job here this
and
evening.
So they should be.
Yeah, and this morning as well. It was a great semi-final round. I really enjoyed that. I think both of us in the commentary box got sucked into that, and I know from the comments that you guys enjoyed it as well. You can watch that if you haven't seen it yet.
Definitely worth going back to watch. I think it was a fun round. The route setters are really smashing it at this event.
All right, Serrato's had one go on this run and jump. Resets, goes again. But as we know, it takes a lot of attempts, this boulder. It's one of those. It's not like flashes are important on this thing.
And also from watching Serrato in the semi-finals round, he learns really quickly. So you see, if he doesn't do something fast, which often happens, you see him learning, you see him making major adjustments, but the right adjustments. Little foot slip there, but I don't think it'll take him long to get into the jump position.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time left. Sitting in fourth at the moment. He'll jump right back up the leaderboard if he can get this done. Things swinging back and forth at the moment on the podium. One boulder to go after this, and it is a special one. Do not go anywhere, trust me, it's going to be unique. Serrato not making it work yet, though. This will jump him up above, push Do-Hyun Lee out of the podium place if he can get a top here.
And currently we only see Mikhail with 3 tops, everybody else with 2. Serrato could join him with 3 tops if he gets this, so it's going to be really important for him.
Yeah, this could be where the and a foot slip immediately holds it.
So what we're seeing here is his hips are really far out from the wall when he hits that final position. It's going to be almost impossible to hold it with your hips that far out because you're having to put so much strength. What will happen if he can get his hips in and his hips directly above his feet, it'll allow for him to kind of be in almost a weightless position, a really balanced position. It's just getting that momentum as far across as he can. What a great sign.
It's crazy. Gamba Serrato. Gamba is the Japanese ale, which is go, basically. So he goes back to his chalk bag, readjusts, minute 38 to go.
Time is ticking away.
It is, and he hasn't come close yet. And for the first time, really, this whole competition, we really see him struggling here.
We're almost seeing him fluster, which is something I don't think I've seen yet.
No, the Iceman blinks a little here. Minute 20 on the clock.
That was a little better, but his foot was quite far left on the final volume that he's landing on. He wants it a bit further towards the middle. And again, he missed there's 2 volumes, there's a small one on the bigger one. He actually hit the higher one there. He's not going to stick it with his foot there. He needs to be more accurate with that foot placement.
So this is massive here in terms of the competition. Serrato not getting close yet, and then as I say it, he nails the move for the first time. But talking about learning, I mean, he's going to have to pretty much figure this out first go here. I mean, he might have time to go again, but he's going to, wants to rotate.
He is one of the shorter climbers in this round as well, which I do think will play a part on this jump. He isn't facing out though, which is the method. So he's not seen that beater, he's not figured it out.
No.
Straight back on, no chalking up. He knows the clock's ticking down and how important this is.
It is, but as we said, it's not one of those moves that comes immediately again. It's low percentage and he's running out of time.
Things might have just opened up a little bit on the top spot.
It has, hasn't it? All to play for suddenly. And he's not going to get this. Serrato, no top, no zone, and that is huge for this potential podium.
Really is, and suddenly things get a lot more interesting going into this final boulder. Wow.
Yeah, wow indeed. And this final boulder is something that the athletes will not really have seen before. We'll have a look at it in a second. It's pretty wild. So, we all take a little breath here.
We do, but one thing that's really important to think about right now is Mikhail Mauram, he can see the results. You see the results in isolation after that boulder, so you know where things are at after each boulder. You don't know what's happening during the boulder, but afterwards. So he knows now if he tops the last boulder, he's won.
Oh, what a moment.
He knows that.
It will be unreal if he gets this done. Right, so Mikhail Mauram in the top spot, Mejdi Shalkin second, Do-Hyun Lee third, Serrato slipped up slightly there. He drops down to fourth. Kokoro Fuji in fifth and Nikolai Uznik in sixth. Those two kind of out of it at the moment, so we're looking at our top 4.
Serato missing the zone on that is huge because it's tops and then zones, how this is scored, so it's not attempts first. So we go tops, zones, attempts to top, attempts to zone. So if Mejdi and Mikhail both get the zone on the next boulder, then and they don't top and Serato doesn't, then yeah, there's a lot of different options right now going on. But yeah, it really opens things up for Mejdi and for Mikhail.
Does. Now let's talk about these clear holds, shall we? Because it's new for me, it's new for a lot of athletes, and there is zero texture on those things.
Absolutely nothing. I actually really like that we got to go up and feel them because I was very curious. I think this is going to split the world of climbing, not just the athletes, whether it's a good idea or not. I think it's really great that we're doing and seeing new, interesting ideas. I guess the test will be if it works.
Exactly. I'm with you on this one. I'm not convinced yet. And the reason I'm not convinced yet is just because it's
new.
It's new, exactly. And I think what is good is you have to try things. You have to push it. And these athletes are so strong. And one thing the setter said to us is look, it makes campus moves differently because the athlete's getting so strong and so good at them that by adding this no texture element, you change the game up a little bit.
Massively, yeah. And that's needed for progression. Wow, you saw his hand fire off before he got going. What I want to know is, are they going to change their tactics on these holds? Are we going to see Yannick's style, where he was pouring water on his hands in the semi-final to hold the one dual texture hold that was there? Worked really well from what I saw. But you know, these athletes, they weren't sat watching semi-finals. They weren't in this box. They weren't sat at home like all of you. Will they have seen that? Will they know that? Will they have talked about it? Because they didn't know that this boulder was here ahead of time.
Well, he's got the sequence down, and this time he makes it to the zone. So we know it's possible.
And ups the chalk up ahead of going to the next hold, which is actually really, really terrible. And the last move is spicy. It's hard right to the very end. Well, not that you would know from watching Nikolai.
No, he's got
unbelievably strong.
It is feet on no texture, but a match for him. And that signals the end of his comp. So a good way to finish things off for Nikolai Uznik. And yeah, well, there we go. I mean, I guess it works.
We've seen that it works.
I was amazed that when he took his hand off to chalk up there, I was sort of holding my breath a little bit because it's like holding on to ice. I mean, they are slippy holds. So he will now not leave the arena. He'll go to the waiting area on the left where he gets to see the other athletes compete.
One thing that's quite unusual on the last board of a comp is that bad skin not being a factor, potentially bad skin being a useful thing, more sweaty skin. You kind of want your hands to feel almost a little bit tacky, a little bit damp.
Well, is that why? Because the pouring the water thing, because usually obviously in climbing we're chalking up, we're avoiding moisture. Why does having moisture in your hands help a hold like that?
So you want them to feel almost like sticky, like tacky, which is the opposite of what chalk does. So we've just seen Do-Hyun Lee spray what I think was rhino skin spit. So obviously we can't spit on our hands, but we can use a product called spit. We spray it on our hands, rub it together, and then it gives that tacky feeling. I absolutely love it. I have really dry skin. I've actually seen Adam Ondra using a wet towel previously in comps because he also has dry skin, so you'll see him sometimes with a towel where he dabs his fingers on. Yannick opted for pouring water on his hands. Not chalking up before going on a boulder is going to be very strange for these athletes.
Well, I asked about brushing as well because I wanted to know, do you brush these holds? Do you not brush these holds? Is it good with chalk? Is it bad with chalk? Everyone's figuring it out.
These athletes actually saw these holds in isolation. Very kindly of the route setters, they popped some on the warm-up wall as I assume a hint that something was coming. So I imagine they'll have been testing out different methods here to see what works, what feels good.
It's strange in climbing, isn't it, that you have something completely different, and that is the great thing with using these holds, is, that you can have different movements, you can have different stuff, but having a whole different hold type changes everything, changes the whole approach.
Strange, exactly, but also rare. We don't see something new very often. I think the season's been kind of a really crucial season, and seeing new moves, new holds, new ideas. Yeah,
let us know at home if you're watching what you think of these holds.
Do-Hyun there, you see he's hitting the first one, which is a good hold. coming into match, hitting the second one. We don't think you can stick that second one. Potentially you could stick the third hold and hold it, but you really want to be going 1, 2, 3 if you can to the zone hold. That's the best one. That's the one where you can be comfortable and kind of relax and chalk up. Get that chalk back on your hands.
Yeah, he's looking down at his hands there, trying to figure out what's going on.
Just showing how impressive Nikolai's top was there. You know, I think when the first person of the round comes out, makes it look easy. You can often kind of get a bit worried that maybe the boulder's not set at the right level. But all of these athletes have different strengths and weaknesses. They are all very, very capable. And we're seeing different athletes succeed on different styles.
I love the sound of that paddle noise. That
the tap, tap, tap.
Yeah. I can't believe I just clicked in the commentary box. I've never done that before, I promise. So 1:25 to get this done.
So we're seeing the 1-2 there. If he's able to get the third pull through, it looks like he's not managing to get enough through the hands at the minute, so not able to bend those arms and really reach to the zone hold. Potentially he can stop on the second.
Not getting close at the moment, and that's a minute gone. Yeah, you're right about Nikolai's strength. I mean, yeah, that contact strength to hit those holds and stick them.
You can almost not see them there.
I was worried about that, honestly. I thought they wouldn't show up on camera. There's a bit of a sparkle in a few of them, and it looks like there is a texture, because I went and touched it, because it looks like ripply on the top, but there's nothing there. Not quite sure what to do here. He's looking out. I mean, he knows exactly what to do. It's just making it work.
And your question about brushing has been answered, because it's not been brushed.
No, it's been touched.
By the athletes.
I want that brushing job. That black hold, the starting hold as well, that's also no texture, despite not being clear.
And the finishing foot too.
Yeah, everything. It's not going to work.
Frustration building.
So he will stay in third place, can't improve his score, and again, that could be vital.
And a quick look down at his skin, and maybe to his surprise, it's not that bad. He didn't look down for too long. The setters were saying it's actually really nice to have a boulder that doesn't require skin for them as well. You know, speaking to Remy, his every single tip was pretty much gone through. They have really put through their paces, the setters. So yeah, maybe a nice boulder to finish on, not painful.
Yeah, a bit of relief for them. Be interesting to see whether they use them in the women's competition tomorrow as well. I mean, they've got them to play with, so we'll have to see. Mejdi Shauk, well, let's see what he can do here. Has a look at the sequence. It's a very familiar move to the athletes, of course, they're used to friction, but this style of coordination, paddle jumps, they'll have done a lot of. Stops on the first one. But almost the first time I've seen someone slip on the hold, actually.
Yeah, I'm wondering what skin preparation he's done. If any, if he's opted to change. He has put his chalk bag on. I wonder if that means that he's not got any chalk on his hands. Kind of composing himself. It must be quite weird to set up for a climb, not doing your normal routine, you know?
Yeah, of course. He'll be so used to that chalking up, getting ready, waiting.
Super fast hands there, really, really close to figuring it out. A little bit low when he hit that zone hold. Definitely something he can do. Putting water on his hands here, drying it off, trying to get that tacky feeling.
Yeah, it's so different, isn't it? The lady back there holding cheese on sticks. I'm not quite sure who she's giving that to. She's waiting in the wings to feed the athletes, potentially.
Oh, in Switzerland.
So Mejdi has wet hands, wants the crowd behind him.
If he does this boulder, he will be in the top two. The only person that can beat him will be Mikhail.
Big moments then here in the final closing parts of our competition. And he's in and holds the zone hold. All right, so now he'll make sure of this. Chalks up, ready for a bit of friction at the top.
And he does need to keep that tension, stay really strong. Loses it. So when Nikolai hit that, I thought he made it look easy, but we know that that move's hard. We've looked at that right hand hold. It's terrible. It's really bad. You've got the thumb catch, but it's not a lot there.
Yeah, look at that, pouring the water on. That's what Sean is talking about, that sticky damp that we're looking for.
The setter said to us that like the super strong athletes in their backs will be able to hit that move and hold it. The ones who aren't able to stay on there through strength, just brute strength, they're going to need to kick the foot down, and that foot is absolutely no texture. It looked like Mejdi was looking for the foot, maybe kind of between the two different methods, hadn't quite decided whether he was going to need it or not, did need it, wasn't able to get it down, and hope we can see him make that adjustment, whether he kind of puts more power through his back, more strength, or opts to kind of kick down to the foot. Very different movements, so he's going to need to decide before going which one he's going to do.
I don't know this, and I probably should, but could he theoretically take off a left shoe? Because
no, they're not allowed.
So he has to wear climbing shoes. Okay, because I was just thinking you could take it off and then stick on it.
Yeah, it's happened before. No, they're not allowed to take the climbing shoes off.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, I'm pretty confident.
Good confirmation.
Come on, Mejdi, you got this.
Right, so there's a minute on the clock. Goes back to the water, dribbles on that liquid. It's so weird to see him do that. I can't get over it.
It also must feel so strange, you have like almost comfort in your chalk bag. You chalk up, you see athletes doing it when they're nervous, like on lead routes, you do it subconsciously. So it really changes things, kind of maybe shakes them a little bit.
Makes it stick for the second time. 30
Needs
seconds.
to make sure he spends time chalking up here. Got the chalk back on the hands. Hasn't chalked the left hand, I don't believe, but it's going to go for it anyway.
All right, big moment for Mejdi. Heel locked in at the moment. He might be trying to chalk. No, he's just adjusting.
Looks like he's setting up to go straight to the top here.
Right, so a big potential last move. 10 seconds on the clock. Up with the right. It was a chalk up. Launches, and it's not going to work.
So that right hand is so bad. He dropped back down to the zone, was looking up. It almost looked like he was going to try and pounce straight for the finish because that right hand's so bad. And you can see the disappointment there. He wanted to finish on a high. He's fought really hard, but wasn't enough.
No, it's not going to be the goal for Mejdi, but he is in silver medal position at the moment.
I'm going to put it out there. I think that means Mikhail's won.
Wow, so this could be huge. That is everything here. We'll update you as we know.
I think we will see. Sorato could take it if Mikhail doesn't get the zone.
Okay. Well, things are starting to become clear here. That was his last attempt on it. And I know there's going to be a huge amount of discussion about these holds, and I do recommend that everyone just... that's the cheese, yes, exactly.
Cheese for the athletes.
I saw her come, and the reason I noticed it is because I was hungry when she entered the stage initially, and I thought, I wish I was out there nicking some cheese.
Well, I get to go over there and interview the
do,
winner,
don't
so I will
you?
be getting some cheese.
Unbelievable. All right, Kokoro Fuji is waiting in the background. Told to go, he enters the arena for the final time here this evening. Four minutes on the clock, the buzzer goes.
Great welcome from the crowd there as well. They are absolutely loving this.
He is one of my favourites to watch climb. He's just got that style, so powerful and strong.
So strong.
And these kind of moves are usually his bread and butter, but we can see they're sliding off it.
So I asked the setter, how hard would this be if they had texture? And he said it would be a very different climb because obviously they wouldn't need to paddle, they wouldn't need to go through it. And basically it wouldn't be a boulder, it would be much, much, much easier. So yeah, it
just changes everything, doesn't it?
Changes absolutely everything.
And as I was saying there before we were talking about cheese, that there will be a huge amount of discussion on this. But I do think it's worth remembering that we have to sometimes just go outside of our comfort zone in climbing. And as you said, just try new things, test it out. And whether you think this is awful or amazing, I like the fact it's different.
I actually thought you were talking about the cheese for a second.
Oh, no, I'm sure that's wonderful. We're in Switzerland, after all. That's going to be great. You looked at me very seriously for talking about cheese.
I was like, you're questioning cheese? No, and you know, it's definitely going to split the world of climbing.
Yeah.
Like I said, whether you love it or you hate it, but you can't question the fact that it's different, and it's worked. You know, we've seen athletes get through it and not finish the climb. We've seen athletes make it work and athletes not be able to make it work. And it's all about keeping up with the route setters as an athlete. You know, they're the ones putting the holds on the wall, and
Yeah,
it's
and
definitely
brave
challenging
as
them.
well. I mean, to do that on a World Champs with this many eyes on it.
Whilst also coming back to a move that they haven't made work previously. You know, this is a round that like is bold for the route setters.
Yeah, huge.
Fair play to them.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, it's a sign of things to come, maybe. We've had good setting throughout. And do have a look at the schedule if you haven't. It's a packed week. We've got lead, boulder, lead and boulder and paraclimbing and speed as well. So everything coming up later on.
So slippery there. Very different to what we've seen from Nikolai and Mejdi. And opting to chalk up, no water on the mat.
Yeah, it's a different approach from Kokoro Fuji.
He also, isn't using any products. I was going to say no water and no spit. When I say spit, I'm referring to Rhino Skin product that's Rhino Skin spit. I'm not talking about his own spit.
All right, so he goes again with 1:20 to go. Not getting through this first move. It must be hard to create the power to campus up and drive through it, because if you there'll be little tiny slips as you
That
start the
depends
moves.
whether you can get that tacky feeling in your hands. If you can, then I think it would feel really good almost, but I don't think chalk's the way for this, and that's what he's using. I think that chalk's going to be making it feel even more slippery.
He's shaking that left hand out. Pretty left hand intensive this. He decides to slow it down a bit here and then starts the movement.
We're not even seeing him get any purchase on that second. He's just slipping straight away, which isn't allowing him to continue that momentum through. He's not able to pull on that hold to keep his hips moving upwards. Opting to skip it there, trying something different, which is great to see.
All right, 24 seconds to go. His last couple of attempts here. And he's not getting anywhere, and I think he's going to call it an evening. Down in 6th position, so he will not defend his World Championship gold from before. We'll have a different winner here this evening. And really, it's all going to come down to the next two climbers.
2 climbers to go. If Mikhail gets the zone, he wins. If he tops, of course, he wins. If he doesn't, then it's all up for Serato to decide where he ends up in this competition, and he could go from 4th to 1st.
Wow, what drama. Coming up to 8 o'clock here in the evening. 2 athletes to go and a gold medal on the line. This was Kokoro's attempt on that, eventually a shrug of the shoulders. And this man, wow, he's peaked at exactly the right moment.
Man of the moment.
Huge. The Swiss crowd know what's at stake here. They're really getting behind him. He's a popular athlete on the circuit. First goes with a no.
So I'm trying to see what he's got on the mat here, whether he's got water, has he got liquid chalk, what is he choosing to use?
Oh, close. Falls sideways down.
Takes it on the shoulder there, that fall, but he knows what to do. He knows he can stick it. He's got a wet cloth, I think, so you can see in his hand now. I think that's a wet cloth that he'll be using to keep his fingers nice and moist, nice and damp. Well, his whole hand, actually, because your whole hands are on these holds. He hit the zone there. He wasn't awarded it because he didn't have it in control. He didn't use it, sorry. Can't get much closer than that. Right hand slipped.
He had a big fall down and a shake of the head. Yeah,
great dismount.
That was I honestly think points should be awarded. I really do. I've said this before. All right, well, the nerves must be kicking in for him now.
The pressure is building.
Huge, huge, huge. Our cameraman on stage there capturing the moments. I've got the sweatiest hands in the arena. I need to go out on the mats. I'd crush this thing with my sticky damp. Mikhail pulls on again. Oh, drops back down.
It almost looked like maybe he had too much moisture then. You saw him drop back down, wipe his hand on his arm. Maybe it didn't feel great. Straight back on though, no.
Yeah, they're figuring it out, aren't they? I mean, they just don't know the right point, how wet your hands need to be.
And how would you know?
No, exactly. I mean, how do you work this one out?
Looks like he's picked up his liquid chalk.
Okay, so that will be interesting. Maybe you've got to do it in that phase when it's drying before it becomes chalk. Like quickly hit it. Well, he's going for the liquid chalk, but only. I know he's going for the full lot, and then interesting.
Maybe he wants a little bit of chalk on there. Hasn't got a chalk bag on, so if he does get through this, he doesn't have chalk for the last move.
True, yeah.
All he needs is his zone.
I mean, maybe
he knows that.
Figures that out, yeah, doesn't care. Minute and a half to guarantee this gold medal. Hyping himself up, what a moment for this man. Sticks it this time. But now, as you said, it's going to be harder on the top. Spins off and down. But that is enough.
He knows it, he knows it. So do the crowd.
Oh my God, well, the lights are already going and we've got a minute to go. I don't think I've ever seen that happen, actually. I think he might just enjoy it and run that clock down. Why not? Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, I would if I was him. I would just sit there and soak it in. What a moment for Mikael Mauer.
He's going to get back on, it looks like.
Someone tell the DJ quickly, turn those lights off. He's still climbing.
He deserved that moment, and what an athlete. If he's getting back on, he's giving the crowd the show that they deserve. He hyped himself up, they hyped him up. Everyone in here knew what that moment meant. Our eyes are watering.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, and super close on that attempt too. He's just absolutely pumped.
Never.
As he should be.
I would not... Starting this competition, I would never have put money on him winning this thing. So it's the underdog coming through. What a story for our first finals.
And the oldest athlete in finals.
Well, Shauna's blinking back tears. It's very emotional here in the stadium. And he will strut his way across the stage as he deserves to do so.
He didn't make a final in Boulder this year. He comes into this final. Look at what it means to Mejdi as well, sharing that moment with his teammates. So much love between them. The smiles.
Wow.
I wish you could bottle the atmosphere in here. Wow, it's insane.
Crazy, isn't it?
What a wild moment. And a beautiful moment for climbing. He is such a fun climber to watch. He did it with so much style, so much grace and ferocity as well. You know, he was fighting hard for all of those moments on the wall, not letting them go. It didn't happen to him, he took that.
He did, and he shakes his head. That was the big fall before he did the boulder, and then this was the moment. Stuck it, didn't care about the top really.
Hate him or love him, those holds have created a great show.
Exactly that, you know, and is it climbing? Who cares? It's about this moment, and you know, all the athletes are on a level playing field. They have the same set of holds.
Taking it all in.
Well, Serato still has to climb, of course. And he is, we're just checking the score, 4th.
Yeah, so I believe he can bump up to 2nd.
And of course, that could be important later on. It's all about the points for the boulder and lead at the end of the week as well. So job not done yet. Serato slips on his first attempt.
Sorry, no, he can only bump into 3rd place. He can't get to 2nd. Oop.
All right, so she's chalking up this time. Yeah, that graphic we think is a little bit wrong there on screen. So he's chalking up, going for that method. See the puff of chalk left behind, and he's going back to the chalk again.
Yeah, the no zone on Boulder 3 has come back to bite him, so if he can get the zone, he'll bump up. If he, we are right, if he tops, he'll bump into 2nd. A zone will bump him to 3rd.
And he has got water down there on the mat, just in case. He's not using it yet, he's going for the chalk. As I look over towards the clock and the other athletes. Yeah, it was, as you said, dropping that zone on the previous climb.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem to be loving these slippery holds, and I do think it's going to be interesting to find out the opinions of the athletes later on.
Yeah, they call him Sticky Serato. It's kind of his nickname because of how good he is at sticking to friction holds. And maybe they've, oh, hang on, he does stick to that one this time and slides. Yeah, so I'm not a lover of this very new style of climbing here, perhaps. And Serrato will go again, reset things.
Composing himself and kind of take it all in, I think. It's, you know, it's a big moment. He knows what he needs to do if he wants to bump himself back up. He's currently not in a podium position.
Yeah, he could go fourth to silver if he can figure this sequence out.
And not where we would have expected him at the beginning of this competition, not at all.
No, he was certainly one of the favourites to win it. Right, so he goes again, one hold higher.
He looks like he's just struggling to find rhythm in there, you know, his hands are slipping. Not something someone who is referred to as sticky would be used to.
Yes. It's like someone's taken away his superpower. A minute on the clock, a minute left on our finals. What a day.
And what a finals.
Yeah, it's been good. And what a finals for your first one. Well, with me, certainly. I mean, it's been an absolute roller coaster here today.
It sure has. Semis was incredible. Finals has been absolutely amazing too. Thank you so much for having me.
Always.
It's been great to be here. I absolutely love watching these competitions. Love seeing like the athletes and the way they compose themselves, the way they really push and figure out and be creative with their beta. So after making progress there, he got higher. He needs to get that left hand to the zone, I think, to be able to hit it. 30 seconds left on the clock, so it's looking unlikely, but we could see something magical.
No, you never know, but it is feeling like it's slipping away from Serrato. Needs something special in 18 seconds here. He'll go again, of course. And that could be it. I think it is. Well, Serrato put through the ringer, and he says goodbye to our crowd here tonight. Gets the confirmation for the judges, but really it's all about Mikael Mauwan, because what a moment that was. I don't think I'll ever forget it. A minute to go and the lights go absolutely crazy. He's celebrating on stage. Oh.
As he should do. That was such a big moment, and I think he's going to remember that forever.
He is. Well, you get to go down and speak to that man in a moment. I'm jealous of you doing
that.
that.
I'm excited. I gave him a big high five and a big hug earlier. He was sat chilling outside the hotel when he made finals. You know, he's such a great guy. Competed alongside him at the Olympics. And yeah, been competing with him for many, many years. So it's cool to see him still absolutely smashing it.
Gold medal for Mikael Mauwan. Team France get their first medal as well of the competition. And the audience start to filter out. We have got the podiums to come, of course, so do stick around for that.
Every single person in that crowd was clapping and cheering. What a great show they've put on as well.
It was brilliant. Well, the crowd will start to come forward to watch the podiums. Right now it's the flower ceremony time. And then, Shauna, I think if I say goodbye to you now, you go and interview them, and you'll be back with me tomorrow at 10 o'clock for the women's semi-final.
I will, and yeah, hopefully we've recovered by then, because that was a lot. That was really intense, and such great work from the route setters. I just can't wait to see what they've got in store for us for the rest of the event. But yeah, up next is women's.
Okay, well, you have a good evening. Say hello to Mikael for me, and I'll see you in a bit.
I will do. Thank you so much.
Well, the athletes announced onto the stage. Do-Hyun Lee, bronze medal for him. Another awesome achievement from the Korean athlete. Mejdi Xiao, fist pumping in the air as he runs on for his silver medal. Team France getting 2 out of the 2. But the man of the moment is about to enter the stage. Huge for Mikael Mauwan. Look at Mejdi celebrating. Cannot believe that. I really can't. It was a underdog's opportunity. It was brilliant in the semi-final. It was better in the final. Team France banner waving in the crowd there. And a huge scream from him. So emotional. Himself and Sean are getting really sucked into this moment. It was impossible not to with that crowd reaction and his reaction to that win. He's got the podium to come as well, and yeah, tears in the eyes for sure. And in terms of timing your training, peaking at the right moment, getting everything right, climbing is a complicated sport, especially when you shove in the small matter of no texture holds in there. Brave setting by the route setters. It will certainly cause some chatter amongst the climbing community. Nina Caprez there. Grabbing an interview with Do-Hyun. Well, this was Do-Hyun Lee's way to the bronze medal, getting the feet up on that chimney-style jump move. Mejdi Shark with a silver medal. That move, redemption from him after failing to get it in Hachiochi. Learned the move, did it in his trainers after the final. Kokoro Fuji running across. He missed the jump a couple of times there. Had to say goodbye without the send. And then this man, wow, unreal. That press move, straining his way upwards. Small margins, of course, within climbing. Reaching around, trying to find the black jib. Nikolai Uznik got the boulder done. Good tenacity from him after perhaps a slightly disappointing round to find the ability to pull through on those no texture holds. Do-Hyun Lee slapped his way across, of course. Mejdi Shark stopped, held, slipped. A dramatic way to end the competition here this evening. Dropping that top hold and spinning back down to the ground. Kokoro Fuji, defending champion, couldn't repeat the magic from Moscow a few years ago. Had to settle for 6th place here this evening. And Mikhail Mawam, well, he took a beating early on. And then this was the moment where it all came together, latching that zone hold, aiming for the top, of course, but really he knew it was just about the zone. Didn't bring chalk up, knew he wouldn't really need it. Of course, went for the move, and then look at this celebration. The lights flashed, and look at the reaction from Mejdi Shark. And Serato, he could have got a silver medal, didn't figure out the sequence.
I say, oh my goodness, what an incredible moment for you, for the sport. Can you put into words what this means?
For sure. Yeah. Oh yes, that's crazy. It's a crazy moment. I waited 10 years for that. It's my goal to be the best one time in my life. And I have a lot of fail for 10 years. Just I come back all the year. This year is hard, the young guy is strong. Just I want to go to my goal. And today it's a dream and it's crazy. It's crazy. I want I want my family, I want all for go to the party with him.
You are the world champion. You are the best in the world. That is undeniable. You are going to go and collect your gold medal soon. That showcase of climbing, you know, from technical, physical, strength, it had everything in that final. Can you tell us what your favorite moment was?
Favorite moment is the hand. It's the hand. Some people say, okay, take pleasure, okay. Just I work a lot all the day, all the year. I don't take holiday for 10 years, and I say for all people say, okay, the pleasure now it's when I win, and now I win with my goal, and the end is the best for me. Okay, the comp is cool, all the thing is cool, just the hand is the best.
We are fighting back the tears. I had tears running down my face in that moment. I've competed alongside you for many, many, many years, 10 years like you say. To see you take it in that moment, it was an absolute joy. No one can say you didn't deserve that. You know, you've worked hard for it, and I do hope you get that holiday. Do you have it planned?
Yes, I take plane 1 month ago with my girlfriend for take 1 month holiday in November because
Perfect.
I need, and now maybe I take 1 month and a half or 2 months.
I think you've earned more than 2 months. Take as much time as you need. You have earned it. Thank you so much for putting on an incredible show, and yeah, I can't wait to see what you do with the rest of the competition.
Yeah,
it's not over yet.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And last word, it's for my family, family because all my family it's with me, with my brother, all the time. We climb 20 years, and it's the best fun, the best support, and thank you my family, thank you, merci maman, merci papi, merci la famille, on est là et on représente.
Well, hard not to get inspired by Mikael's words there. 10 years of work just shows, do not give up your dreams. Cliche thing to say, but wow. He's proved the cliche right as Mikael Mouwen. And the top spot of the podium will be his. I'll have a brief pause here while things get set up. No one in the audience really leaving. They want to see him up there on the top spot. Nina Caprez will interview him again on stage. I'll be quiet so you can try to hear what they have to say. And he will rightly so go to the very front of the stage. Well, thank you to Mika. And we watch some of his moments for earlier on in the comp. Well, with the interviews done, Mika will now be making his way backstage, getting ready for the podium. As the athletes will be gathered, of course, back there, and I can't wait to see what trophy is on offer here this evening. Usually a different trophy at every event. I wonder what this one is. First time we get to see it for 23. And do return tomorrow, 10 AM Central European time for the women's boulder semi-final. And of course, a packed schedule of climbing. You can find the full schedule on the IFSC's website. If you're watching online, then the competitions are listed. And of course, there are updates on all of our social media, so make sure you subscribe to that. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and the rest for constant updates. And check out the Climbing World Club show. Every day, we're bringing you highlights, interviews, and more action. Getting a big reaction on YouTube currently, so go back and catch up if you haven't already on the qualifying from the last couple of days. And if you're watching this having not seen the semi-finals, then we've got some highlights from that coming on that show. We're working on that today, picking a few tasty moments for you so you can find out the full story of today's action. As our cameramen start to move across the stage, preparing themselves for the athletes who will enter from the curtain at the back, but they've been coming in all day. Now dropped rather atmospherically into darkness, and just the podium picked up by that spotlight. The podium taking place underneath the giant lead wall that looms over this stadium. Of course, no routes set on it, although the volumes are ready. And you can tell by just looking up at the wall, there's going to be some pretty long routes. Interesting looking setting out there as well. And what setting there was today. Love it or hate it, there'll certainly be some opinions kicking around about those slippy holds. Let us know what you think. Is it a future? Do you never want to see it again? I have a feeling it's going to be quite polarizing, this one. Just seen the thumbs up being given to the organisers, so we are ready to go here for our podium. First medals of the event to be handed out. Dignitaries, athletes, and a dancing mascot. Why not? Stealing the show, frankly, on the left. No one could steal the show from that man. Still emotional. Eventually he puts the flowers down because it's time for our podium. Another medal for Do-Hyun Lee. He'll add that to his gold. And previously in the season, of course, the World Champs just hits a little differently from a World Cup. Coming every 2 years, it's an important moment and an important year as we build up to the Paris 2024 Olympics. Mejdi Schauk jumps high, silver medal for him. The young man progressing seemingly every competition he takes part in. And finally, Team France make it a 1-2. He hasn't won this before. He's been working for 10 years to build up to this moment. He never gave up. He is the best in the world. On the day, Mikael Mawam is your gold medalist for men's boulder. What a wonderful moment in comp climbing. Mikael Mawam takes the gold medal, Mejdi Siak silver, Do-Hyun Lee bronze. And it's the first of medals here to come this week, 2 weeks here in Bern. He's still got some climbing ahead of him in the league comp, but right now you can see what it means to him. The audience giving him a standing ovation here in the stadium. Everyone on their feet as the athletes gather at the top of the podium. Still the applause goes on. I don't think I've ever seen. In fact, they're having to be ushered off. The audience, I think, would have clapped him forever there. Well, the audience leave their feet, and it's almost time for us to say goodbye. We will, of course, return tomorrow, 10 a.m. for another semi-final round. Shauna joining me in the commentary box, as she will be all week, calling the action for you. What a set of boulders, what a competition. What a way to finish this evening as Team France mobs the stage. Manu Cornu changing his hairstyle once again from this morning. Well, we will return for more IFSC action very soon. Lots of climbing still to come. Don't go anywhere, stick to your screens, subscribe to all of our channels because the action does not stop. My name is Matt Groom. Thank you to Shauna Coxey for joining me, and we will return very soon.